First, we're going to tackle the issue of the festivals. So the importance of festivals. You're all representing the festival, and I'm aware that you also have experience in distribution support, but somehow the festivals became alternative ways of distribution for small countries. So what are your experiences in terms of the media support, but also in terms of receiving all those evaluations when it comes to the film festivals, and whenever you are in some think tank groups when it comes that you need to contribute with your experience with smaller budgets coming from small film festivals from small countries. So we start with Matea.
There are many questions in the first question. Yeah, but my experience, especially because I organize exclusively animation film festival. And it's a festival dedicated to artistic, mostly independent animation, which is both for adults and for children. And if you are dedicated to such kind of animation, there is nothing commercial about it. If you produce it, there are people who can, I think, confirm what I'm saying. There is nothing commercial in it, and it's not much commercial when you exhibit it. So for us, of course, the support we get from media is very important. Although on European and also world level, we are a very important festival for animation. We operate with around 350,000 euros. That's our overall budget for a year. And from last year, we receive 41,000 euro support for media, which is around 13% of our budget. And although we are very grateful to see it, it's always very frustrating when you see who are your the colleagues that got the money. That's also the only time I see what kind of budget the other festivals have, because you see the percentage of it. And sometimes it's
we can even name it out loud. So
no.
I know one, so I will say it.
Just animation festival, or you're talking about ITFA? Okay,
ITFA,
yeah, ITFA. You know, it's very hard to talk like this without sounding like envious, old hog. But
I'll be your spokesman.
Yeah.
Just to give a clarification to the audience, so ITFA is supported by media, and it's only 1% of the total ITFA's budget. In other words, so ITFA doesn't need media because 66,000 euros are two small festivals. But because media needs to have the label on the festival, I understand this, but probably there is another way how we can do it, because there are also some other festivals with small percentage in terms of the media participation that should not.
For us, maybe a better example would be a film festival in Stuttgart, in Germany. That receives, depends on the year, but support that we receive, and their overall budget is 5 times more than ours. And it's not a problem when we can all function as single festivals, but now with the new initiative that we should all start making collaborations, but on a formal level, because of course, as colleagues, we always collaborate on informal level. It is tricky because what's the mechanism that for choosing your partners? So if we are a big festival, I mean big, like we screen around 400 films, we receive 2,000 submissions, we have a lot of international guests, and we have a long history, almost 50 years as a festival. So I would qualify it as important. Do we choose equally important festivals in Europe? But in Western Europe, if we have to split on East and West, no, because there is such a discrepancy between our budgets. Do we then choose smaller festivals here? Okay, but then we are very big, and it's not a problem to collaborate, but the problem is the ideas how we should collaborate. First thing they say, do you exchange subtitles? How? I come from a country with 4 million people speaking Croatian, and we all know how many people speak how many languages in Europe, so it makes no sense. Do you exchange files? No, because I would be a criminal. You're not supposed to exchange files because we are not owners of the files that we receive for the festivals. More importantly, many producers and distributors ask us to delete the files after. do you exchange collaborators? How can I exchange collaborators? Because my collaborator here in Zagreb gets 500 euros per month to work for the festival, and somebody working for ITFA, I really hope, gets more than that. So it's very hard to attract them to come here. So I would be very happy to collaborate, and we do collaborate, but it would be much nicer to think that a European Commission actually understands that, which they constantly show that they don't. Because when you communicate with representatives, the agency representatives, first it's very one-sided, because they, for example, we had the example of results that came late this year, as it wasn't such a problem like with the slate funding for Damir, but they told us that we have to shorten the eligibility period for our costs, although we receive lump sum, but okay. And I had to explain why I have to start spending money before the festival starts, which means they don't understand that I have to pay rights and tickets and everything. Or then the second mail arrived maybe 2 weeks before our festival started, saying, so regarding Brexit, are you still eligible for our support? Because you have to have at least 70% of European films to get the support. If the UK exits the media, do you still have enough films? Luckily we did, but it was, you know, we don't compromise our competition programs to satisfy the 70%, but with this. And then I asked, okay, now we do, and it was, you know, panic, let's calculate what happens if we don't. And then I said, we do, but will you lower the percentage of European films needed for the support if they go out? I never received the answer. So it's very hard to believe that they will know how to form the new way of financing festivals, when with every guideline, with every email they said, they really display a deep lack of knowledge of how things work.
Do you agree, Inja?
I sounded very negative. I like media and, and my job.
Well, I'm here representing actually two festivals. Zagreb Film Festival is the one that is getting the support, so this is a success story for my presentation, and the other one is Motovun Film Festival, who lost the support, and we are trying to get it back. And I think actually that for both festivals, especially today, we have to mention the fact that Cinema Europe is not existing anymore. So this means that festivals are actually one of the main distributors for independent films. So like audience development, showing a lot of films. This year actually we experienced on Zagreb Film Festival much more audience than before. I guess that's the reason for that is that we all thought before, you know, if I don't see the film on a festival, it doesn't matter, I will see it later on in cinema. And now everybody knew that that will not be possible.
We need to maybe explain for some guests who don't understand.
Totally I was
okay.
Yeah. I was hoping, yeah.
It's even worse.
Okay.
So this support is at this moment so important for our festivals. I mean, one of the facts that show that is that both of the festivals were applying to media support in a lower scale than they have numbers for. So we could go with a bigger amount, but we were afraid for both festivals that we will lose the support. So went with a lower one in order to get it to have like a solid application in a lower field than to be tricky in the one that is in the upper side. So in terms of that, it's really, I mean, for now, for Zagreb Film Festival, I think this is, if Zagreb Film Festival loses the media support, I'm not sure, I mean, HAVC is there like a really important and huge support all these years. But I think this support could be crucial at the moment when there is a problem with the city, you know probably the whole thing. And then the problem is that with the application, the festivals are, those small festivals that we are representing actually from small countries, are very specific. Zagreb Film Festival, so I I have seen and have been working on both applications. So the Zagreb Film Festival is working in a city which has now, lost cinema that has 500 seats. So this is why this year the festival lasted 11 days. This is because we really wanted to do what we promised to media and to show all the films, but it was impossible to do that without the cinema that has 600 seats and that had 10 screenings per day during 7 days. That's a huge loss. So we had to last for longer, which was of course more expensive. So this is this problem. And then in Motovun, there is completely different story, which Motovun is a city that has less than 1,000 people. So we are actually not screening films for the people from Motovun. Everybody is traveling there. And there it's really impossible to have more than 4 cinemas. So we are, in both situations, we are trying kind of to show that now we are, we want to fight in a way that we will have satellite screenings. So we are not able to have more cinemas in Zagreb than we do. But we will do satellite screenings. This year, I think it was 17, something like that. So it's really a lot. Motovun is also doing the same thing. So we are trying kind of to reach the facts that media is asking for us, but sometimes they actually don't understand it. And the problem, for Motovun is the fact that programs for students were not supported, and they actually really wanted collaborations with schools, which is not working in a Istria region where all schools are very far away and the festival is taking place after the school is finished. So it was kind of difficult to reach that. So yes, I think at the end, this support is very, very important for us, and we are obviously, all of us, trying to mingle in a way to reach everything that they're asking for us. And then the last thing, for now is we are now again hoping that maybe this year we will get the Motovun support again, but we will have to wait till May. And our programming depends on that, because if we get the media support, then we cannot have films that are not European. We have to be very careful on what we take. There are some great films. It's not a lot of them, but maybe we would be tricky with the percentage of European films. So till the last moment, we will not be sure how to program the festival, which is also a bit tricky.
Just before Alen starts, I would need help from technician. If you can play the video, thank you. So Alen has a couple of roles. So you
I'm
need to
very multitasking: festival, cinema exhibitor, and distributor.
Yeah, and then you're also running the festival. You have the audience development project, but you're also running the Art House Cinema Network in Croatia, which has how many?
60 members.
60 members, yes. Because we had...
The number is changing all the time, which is good.
There was a great initiative in 2013 on behalf of the Ministry of Culture, and jointly with the Croatian Audiovisual Film Center, we helped the cinemas to be digitized and to boost and to work on the promotion of national films. So it's something that really works well. Yes.
Well, I will start with the festival support. I must be sincere here. I hate that one because my colleagues said lots of the bad things. But what I want to add is that they are changing all the time priorities, and you can never know what is priority of them. My experience is that in many ways, while applying for the festivals, we did things before they put them like their priority. For example, I started with the film festival, and then I was applying, nothing, and then we started Kino Mediteran. Kino Mediteran started from Mediterranean Film Festival in Split, and it started first as a traveling cinema, like travel festival on tour, let's say like that. Later on, we developed Kino Mediteran to the revitalization of the cinemas itself. But the first 2 years, Kino Mediteran was festival on tour.
You received the audience development.
Yeah, for the Kino Mediteran, but it was later.
Yes.
But I'm telling this because we wrote about that in our festival application, and there was that was in the years when they didn't even mention satellite events. You know, now satellite events are important, but we did them before, and it was
now
again...
Now collaboration is hot. Stop with satellites.
Yeah, but I have also another... what I'm telling this because now I applied for festival like 10 times. Only the first year I was missing like 4 points or maybe 5, but every year after that I'm missing 1 or 2. And then after those satellite events, they became like something that brings you points. I was like happy. Oh, now I have 35 satellite events. I will be a rich one. Then they came with like education is important as a part of the festival. So they were basically you need to have more industry programs. Then okay. Then we started the thing not only with the industry program like workshop for developing the project, but we started the initiatives Islands United. And that was again before the collaboration was something you get the points for.
Did you give them ideas?
Yeah. Together with your office, we started the. Since Kino Mediteran is focused on the islands, we connected with Cyprus, Malta, Iceland, so very small countries, island countries. We begin collaborating not only as a festival, exchanging the short, but also with the workshop, with their talents coming in Split on the workshop. And that again, it was not enough to get the support. Now when the collaboration is important, then again we don't get support. And the last year the reason great, you develop your industry program and collaboration, but you work a very lot, you are not working enough with the children. But with the children, but not with the children program, because we have films for the children on the festival, but with the workshops for children. So every year is another explanation why I missed that 1 or 2 points. And every year I have another dilemma. Matea knows, like, I don't know when I'm going to apply again, because I'm like tired of missing that 1 point.
I just have to disclose the fact. I would call Alan, so will you apply again? And just to say, I've never visited his festival because it's always at the same time like ours, but I admire deeply everything.
But we collaborate.
Yes,
every year.
We do, but who are you? I've never visited your festival, but I know how great they are. And every time before the call, I would so, okay, this year we are sending whatever you need. We have short film programs, we have so many European countries, I'll give you everything. Then again, he wouldn't pass. And every time, so what do I need to write for them? You know, what do they want to hear that we are doing? It's always...
And I just want to tell that the difference when we Split is second country in Croatia, but local financing is not so good. So basically our total budget of the festival is 90,000 euros. So help from the Europa Cinema, from the festival support, the lump sum is for my category I think 25,000 euros. It would be like heaven for us, you know, to develop festival more. So that is why it is important for the small festivals and of course small countries. But the same problem we are talking. I just want now to make parallel. The same problem we are talking now, since I was very close with those people from Iceland, Cyprus, and Malta. All those festivals, they have the same problem as we talk.
Yeah. May I ask you regarding the numbers, because you develop quite an amazing audience in Split. I mean, we literally experience that they really come and watch European films. They don't party, they discuss the films. And how many actually
for the festival?
For the last edition. I'm just curious for the festival.
For the festival is 20,000 visitors, 15,000 sold tickets. But sometimes somebody will tell you that it's not so big numbers, but they forget how many people live in the city. That's also important.
Because they don't take the context of the festival. Yeah. Where it's they don't even check it maybe on the line.
But it's the same. Generally, on all those proposals and when you apply for some money, nobody are putting the numbers into the context. For example, Kino Mediteran. We finished the last year with 55,000 sold tickets. And it's like not too much, somebody will say, but they forget that the biggest town we have in the network is Imotski with 7,000 people, and all the other cities are less than 5,000. So basically 55,000 people in 1 year in cinema. On the 700 screening, it's an average of 60, 70, and it's a very good average. But nobody thinks about that. They want to see like big numbers, like 20,000.
The thing is that, for example, this project, this audience development project, cannot fit into any category. Because if you want to put it in the category of promotion, any type of the promotion, they would say it's not innovative enough. But it is innovative for the Croatian territory and split region, because the impact what you bring to those people, and plus all those tourists watching the films.
I must say that the only time we got the money as Kino Mediteran was in a year where there was a fund for audience development.
Yes.
We got only 15,000 euros, but in that time it was such a big money for us. With that money we bought the equipment. So that support was such a huge boost for us to develop what we have today. And it was not such a big money. And immediately after that first year, they canceled the audience development.
Yes.
So it became film literacy. And then we never could apply again. We tried with something which was like maybe a little bit futuristic, but we were trying to develop VOD within the islands, of course taking again island countries I mentioned, and then that application was like, it was really innovative, it was really...
but we didn't have Greece.
Yeah, the answer was, where is the Greece in the project? Okay.
Yes, so...
and I just want to tell that we applied with that like 3 or 4 years ago, and now when I was in Portugal on Europa Cinema Conference, one of the hottest topic was cinemas with VOD. And so it's...
what shall we do?
Cinemas which have VOD, so we applied with that like 4 years ago.
We have a timing issue.
At least we will try. Now I would like to tackle, because there was a danger that the European Commission would cancel the individual festival support, which would again diminish national visibility. And somehow, I don't see if it's a good idea or bad idea, but there is for the second deadline, again not for both deadlines, also possibility for networks of film festivals to apply. So you already started with the collaborations problems, but now you are not. You really want to strengthen the individual support only.
So I want to say there was already existing network, festival network that bankrupted. I wasn't a part of it because it happened before I started.
Bankrupted. Okay.
Yes, they had organization problems, and luckily I meet people from other festivals. So a lady who is much older than me told me that it existed before, and now when the initiatives of networking started being allowed again, that we have to do it, those meetings now look like Woodstock, yay! Let's be a network. Let's all work together. But then you start talking about obstacles, and I really don't like being that kind of person that only emphasizes the bad things, but the things that they want us to work on together are virtually impossible. You know, like subtitle exchange and stuff like that. You know, so. I learned recently. I was supposed to go next month to another meeting like that. First one was regarding animation festival was last year in Annecy. My colleague Daniel was there, and nothing very concretely happened. Everybody agrees collaboration is good. Everybody knows now we should collaborate even because of media, but it's not that easy, you know, how they see it. And next month I was supposed to be in a meeting in Brussels, but not the Brussels like commission, but Brussels Animation Festival Anima. And they got some information that it's not going to be like supporting huge networks, but maybe little networks of 3 to 4 festivals.
So you need to be in Brussels.
Yes, I'll be in Brussels, but the wrong place in Brussels where I could only talk to my colleagues. Yeah, it would be nice to have a more formal way of organizing, but informally we do all they want us and more. But on a formal level, it's not possible. You know, I understand that media would like to decrease amount of paperwork for them. I guess it's one of the reasons. They want us to have one submission for 5 festivals. But who is going to be in charge of it in the network? Mm-hmm. It's much more work for us. And we are all, and not just us because we're from small, poor countries, we are all undercapacitated. You know, we don't have enough people working for the festivals. So, yeah, I really hope they will, there will be still a scheme for support of single festivals, because I don't know how. I think it's a great idea for smaller festivals to connect. Maybe it's also...
But only those who fit into the second deadline.
Yes,
because those who can apply for the first deadline, there is no network possibility, so they cannot collaborate.
I just want to say that I think that support for individual festivals is much more important, because it's hard to find good partners. And I think that one thing which is very good about the festivals is the diversity of the festivals. And every festival is important for the local community in some way. And then it's hard to connect, you know, everything, because you cannot now connect with some festival somewhere just because you need that for the application. That is my opinion.
Because if we share programs, then what? We all have same programs, you know, and of course, if you're exclusively animation festival or whichever you are, then it's
Inja?
Yeah, well, I think one of the problems, we are talking about small countries, one of the facts that is like a real problem if you're making a festival in a small country like Croatia is that you have to pay for a fee, and fees are kind of fixed. So the sales agents are having fixed fees for all territories. So this film costs 1,000 euros. I was lucky enough to be working for a sales agent for a short time. So I kind of slipped in, and I'm always saying, you know, cinema ticket in Croatia is 4 euros. This is how I recoup, which is, I mean, you probably, even in Romania and Bulgaria, it's 7. So the countries that are not in terms of economy very well. So this is a very, very low cinema ticket price. So we all need to work with really small amounts of money, recouping not that much. So this is why we are kind of, once I say this to the sales, we are negotiating, and when I say that, they're like, take it, okay, so you cannot pay that much. So also, in terms of collaborations, we are not that, how should I say, great partner. Of course, that bigger countries would try to collaborate now in terms of these collaborations. In terms of Motovun, I'm lucky enough that last year we became EFA nominating festival. So in these short film festivals, we are now new kids on the block interesting for them, and maybe this could be a way to collaborate. So we are now trying to find that field. But if not, I'm kind of guessing Zagreb Film Festival is really collaborating with a lot of festivals. We are each year having this program that is screening parts of the program from Cannes, Berlin, Rotterdam, so really the strongest festivals. But we are not expecting that we will do a real collaboration with them. And then on the other hand, you don't want to collaborate with the festivals that are not that good, because you don't know what to expect. And also I was in Italy listening to some other also media desks, head of media desks explaining where to go in terms of collaborations. And they said, well, it would be the best to use the collaborations that you had before, so that you can write in your applications. We have been working together for the last 5 years.
But on average, we collaborate with 30 to 35 festivals each year. Sometimes, of course, some of them are same festivals, but some of them change. So I was angry the first time I had to, and now list all the festivals you're collaborating with. And I started typing around it, counting. Okay, it was 33 that year. So it's a lot. It's not just we meet on a festival and know each other. No, we make programs for them. We get all the files, all the screening fees. We are guests there. We are part of their juries and vice versa. So we do collaborate with them in a way they want us to do. But what does it mean formally? We have to have a person who is going to write all the documents. How do I know how their accounting system works? What to do with the money afterwards? There are so many differences, you know.
No, I think that we have a lot of collaborations, but they are not the ones that media is expecting. So it's impossible to share guests from the festivals that are not at the exact time that your festival is, and very close. And then in terms of programming, it's really difficult to oblige that you will have the same program, that you will share the copies. That's also a bit of a problem, because you have selectors who are there to find the best program for our audience. They are working on that for years. They have a lot of knowledge on that. So it's really difficult. Subtitles, yes, even for our countries, we cannot use Bosnian titles. So it's impossible to share in terms of that. It's really difficult now to find how to
balance.
Yes.
Alen, would you like to add on something on this, or shall I move to distribution? Your favorite.
Yeah.
So we tackled a couple of issues, and actually we also were speaking when there was this change of the selective distribution being given to sales agents.
Yeah.
So maybe you can share.
First, I will say that we are like not a big distributor. We distribute 5 to 6 European films per year, which we started because we have so many of the cinemas now that for us it's okay to distribute some of the titles. We are like focused on small films, something which is more audience friendly, let's say it like that. And first, we are getting some money from automatic support, but it's not a big amount of money, but it's okay. It's okay to continue to acquire new films. But the problem I see for the selective scheme, first it was the old one. In the old one, I realized that they are always, Ankica said about that, they're always supporting like big films, like Almodovar, Cannes winners, Ken Loach, stuff like that. We tried to apply a few times on selective distribution with Danish film The Guilty, very audience film, and Guilty was sold to 24 territories. And the other application we did was with Bulgarian The Lesson. I remember that the sale at the time they were like sure that they will get the money because they sold the film to 33 territories, and the lesson was really small movie but very, very audience friendly film with awards on more than 30 or 40 festivals, and No support for both films. Not for us, but for the whole grouping. So when you see that in your statistic that so much money goes to distribution, the question is what only to the big films? You know, big films. If I'm a distributor of Almodovar, I don't need such a big support for the promotion. But promotion is important for the small films, like I mentioned. The new rules for the selective distribution are even worse because we cannot apply with our own budget the sale apply for the grouping. So I have a very negative experience lately in this application. In Berlin, we acquired the Italian film Paranza dei Bambini, which won award for the best script. It's a very Mediterranean movie with young people in Naples getting to mafia. Very, very audience-friendly film. And at some point when I saw the results of the selective scheme, I saw that the film won and got the money. And I didn't not even get the money, but that sale even didn't contact me. Am I going to apply? Am I going to join? Because they need to contact you and tell you and how to prepare everything. So if you don't call me, I cannot apply myself. And the thing is that the answer was very simple for them. We did the application before we sold film to your territory, and there is no money for you because you were not in the picture when we were applying, which is like, okay, but you need to plan a budget for the film distribution, especially because they did application with the distributors who bought the film in the pre-sale. They applied to the they did application before the premiere in Berlin. So it was not so many territories sold. They probably had only big players who bought the film, and they get the money. And the money is like the biggest amount of money in the last support was for that Italian film. So what we nobody told us anything, and we didn't get any money for distribution for that film. And what is interesting is that they can plan the money, because now a month ago the Polish distributor we acquired Corpus Christi for the whole Yugoslavia, and we did it like very last moment because it was a new film. The deadline was just behind the corner, and I asked the sales, okay, but I can apply, but only for Croatia. I cannot guarantee you that my partners will buy the film. So we, for the application, you will have just Croatian territory. And she told me, don't worry, because in the overall budget, I plan the money for each region that we will sell this. So and now we applied only for Croatia, but in the meantime we sold the film to Serbia and Slovenia. So that is, I'm just putting in the picture that is what the first case of Italian film, the sale should do it. He should plan it, the money for the later distribution, for the later new distributors of the film. So that is the bad thing, because now for the selective distribution, nobody can guarantee you that the sales will invite you to participate, especially if you are a small country.
They are not legally binding, and we addressed this issue in Brussels, that okay, there is a special agreement between the agency and the sales agent, but there are no legally binding conditions when it comes to agreements and arrangements with the national distributors, and this is quite problematic.
The interesting thing is that in the previous calls, for example, if the film got the money, You could apply with the same film on the next deadline, and you were guaranteed that you will get the money for the film which won. You don't understand me? Yeah. So that was the difference now and then. Because now what, if some big, usually the big films are sold in the pre-sale. So now if you are not in the pre-sale, and usually small countries are not in the pre-sale game, then you will not be able to apply and get any money.
And plus, even if you receive this money, you're not visible in terms of the results.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Inja, you also have, I don't know, 7th, 8th hat, also being involved in distribution of films. So you are now filling in the application, or?
No. Actually, the last thing was the sales actually contacted me also now, because now they're trying to pick 10 countries.
They woke up.
Yes, they woke up. Some of the sales, actually the same one that you were mentioning now, because they are really doing a great job, and they're trying to find the last country in order to get the money. And they're saying, they're very good at it. They're saying, like, for the last 2 films we got it, so you will probably get it, just buy the film, which is really good. I mean, and also saying that this is actually what you're mentioning, that it's not visible, because they're saying, so you can apply, you can do your budget and say what will be the P&A, and you will get that back, and you can get up to 10,000 euros per country. But of course you should be realistic, so this is far, far away from Croatia and the money that we are spending on P&A here. But then nobody will know what is your percentage, and you will not know what is the percentage of other countries for the same film, so for that sales. So in terms of that, yes, it's difficult. And then what Alen is mentioning, for the big films, it will not be difficult. They will probably go either directly to the majors. So for the smaller distributors, we are actually doing this. I don't know, for the Zagreb Film Festival and Motovun Film Festival both. We started doing it because it was difficult to get to some films, and there is this great network of art house cinemas, and also there was Cinema Europe. Again, I'm mentioning that because for the films that I was distributing from Motovun Film Festival, Cinema Europe was 60% of the income. So what do you do now? Now we are a bit afraid of buying any new films, because if we don't go to your network, I'm not sure how to get the money. And even if we go to the multiplex cinema with the independent films, when I was saying 60% from Cinema Europe, I was mentioning even the films that went to Cinestar. So it earned more, because for independent titles, it's much easier to get the audience in independent cinemas, because if you go to the Cinestar, the audience, first of all, the audience that is going to the Cinestar is different audience. Then they will first see the stronger titles, the one with much stronger marketing, and then at the end, even for the independent titles, there are some stronger independent titles, the one that would be with the majors. So it's very difficult to fight there.
I just want to say what Inja is telling about Kino Europa is a much more bigger problem, because we are now talking about the problem with selective distribution, but for automatic distribution, are we small distributors going to reach the minimum to get the support? Because really it was 60% of the share, it was the Kino Europa. So now for the small distributors, we are really are afraid to buy so many films. At first place, and in the second place, what about results is going to be in the future? Are we going to be able to apply to automatic distribution as well? Because I think that minimum is 5,000 or something like that. So what if you have some small film from Sweden? You can be happy if you have 3,000 or 4,000, so you will not be able to reach the minimum, and then that is the problem. And another problem is the complete chain reaction, because Kino Europa was like big important stone in the whole independent cinema network. So now we will probably be in the situation where distributors, especially small ones, they will buy less and less independent films, and then not so many films are going to be able in the distribution at all. So it will be a very big circle, and now we don't know what's going to happen. Probably not good, not something good.
Do you have anything to comment on behalf of
our
animation sector?
That we screen both short and feature films, and our feature films aren't Pixar, DreamWorks, commercial kind of films. So, and only on rare occasions we have really good films for children in our feature program. And if there are children's films who maybe could make a result in cinemas, then they're already bought. But it's not like our local distributors bought them with a big wish to distribute them everywhere, but they're somewhere at the end of the pile because it's artistic animation, that it's not commercial. So sometimes I feel that if local distributors buy rights for animated films, they do it to sell it to us, because when I discuss with my colleagues the fees that we are paying are, I understand that animation production is way more expensive, so also the rights are more expensive, but it's ridiculous. You know, and there were many cases when we saw, while we could see all the results, that films animated features got support from media, and they were never screened anywhere but at our festival. You know, so that's, but it's not actually very strange, because we are getting the support for the festival from 2009, and never ever did anybody from media visited the festival, so you know it's not a problem then.
This is another cup of tea, because
and it's not like we didn't invite them. We are nice people. We invite people
because the paper bears anything in terms of the application, but in reality, some festivals cheat. You know, so they really need to also see where the money is going to. So they need to kind of travel and experience the festival itself. It used to be a normal thing to do, but somehow they cut it. So
yeah, I actually wanted to say that I think that now we closed the circle, because we started with the festival, went to distribution, and at the end we can say, yes, at this moment actually festivals are very important for distribution, because this is audience development. And if you do the audience development well, if you have really great festivals, then you will have more and more audience for the cinemas. And then maybe even smaller distributors will be able to get more than 5,000 people in the cinema. So this is a very important circle.
I agree.
Yeah,
because this is an alternative for small countries, and sometimes the films we could actually see it's at the festivals. So, yeah. Would you like to add something?
Just not to finish on the negative note.
I'm trying to find something nice to say. Should we see?
As an exhibitor, I must say that the Europa Cinemas model and support is really something that is great.
But why isn't it transparent?
I don't know. I cannot. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. But for us, that support is really great. It really encourage you to screen European films. When we started our membership in Europa Cinemas Network, we really the formula is very elementary. You get €1 support for sold ticket for European film. And then at some point we started to realize that when we screen some commercial films, which distributors take us more money, like more percentage, we have more money on the independent film because of the support. Like if you have 60 sold tickets on commercial film and 40 tickets on the European film, the cinema will have more money on the European film. because of the Europa Cinema support. So when somebody asks me how it is possible that you have such a huge number for European films in Kino Mediteran, because now if we have 55,000 sold tickets in the last year, maybe 40-45% of that sold tickets is independent film. So it's a huge, but it's because of that, because I'm encouraged to show European film, and then step by step, when you can program that, people get used to it, and then they started to come. Of course, if you are, it's education. It's by year by year. So that is a really good model of supporting the cinema. So that is a little bit happy about all of this.
Yeah. I think that could maybe be a great idea actually for Croatia also, because of course smaller cinemas also need to survive, so they will probably rather screen blockbusters than art house cinema or Croatian cinema. I mean, they also have to pay their workers and pay for the fees. But then I think that we should also find a scheme to support them screening Croatian films, screening independent films, so they feel the same as you do with the European cinema. Yeah,
but when we talk about from the position of the whole independent network in Croatia, the problem is this, that many public cinemas, like their owners, like cities and municipalities, they are, they are expecting from the directors of the cinema to get the money, and then it's really hard for them. I know many of my colleagues which they want to put more independent titles into their cinemas in small cities, but they're simply afraid because somebody from the city will say, okay, you are doing a bad job because you're not getting so much money, and then they put commercial films. So yes, this Europa Cinemas model could be something. I think that it's probably a long way to implement that into the Croatian model of financing, but it would be really encouraging for the cinema, for the audience development for these independent movies.
Good. Oh, we have a question.
No, just a comment. You wanted to finish positively, because I'm director of the new formed festival, Festival, and I wanted to add to your discussion. Yes, the audience is there. We were told that if you go to Ireland, you will be destroyed, nobody will come. We had 5 days of full cinema, we didn't have enough tickets, and the genre also they wanted, which is in the situation as similar as Animafesta film, that is investigative film, which is disappearing from the festival because it's not too creative. Like we forgot that investigative documentary started to bring up important stories, but never mind, that's part. And we are doing it without state money and media money. We will continue to do that next year also. So it seems it's possible. So I want to add to your strive, whatever you're doing, that there is hope. You just have to continue and fight them back with new projects, new films. Yeah. There is a good word in Dalmatian, Industrija. We can do it.
It's spite.
Yeah.
So we do it out.
So, thank you. The final panelist trio. So just give them applause for bearing with us. And we came to an end. As I mentioned earlier, it's not my cup of tea to really do a marathon with panels, and I really thank you for staying until the very end. But I wanted with this event to tackle some issues that are there and that we need to and can solve and communicate with Brussels. And I also wanted to have an open dialogue and to see how the EFAD or any other professional European organization can work with us, meaning professionals and media desks, because we belong to the same family. And just to have, the goal is, each of us is related to task role as running Film Center Media Desk organization, and I believe if each of us takes the responsibility for the work we are doing, that we can just improve things, not to make any revolution or so, but just to have equal, healthy, culturally diverse environment. And this was the point of the event. So once again, thank you, dear panelists. Thank you all in the audience for staying so late until the very end. And keep you posted with some new events and strive for a better and diverse culture at the European level. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lucia and Noah, for being a part of the gang, students, and Andre as the technician. Thank you.